Jai Atmeshwar, Samarpan Yog of the Himalayas, Part 1, Day 3. My eyes closed as if I wished to fill up the temple of my mind with the Guru's feet. Gurudev was smiling when I opened my eyes. One morning, I woke up suddenly on hearing a strange noise. It was dark outside, but Gurudev was not on the bed. There was a very big slab of stone which was leaning against the inner side of the hill. It was higher at one end, as if nature had fashioned a headrest for Gurudev. There was a lot of grass lying on it, and Gurudev used to sleep on it. I don't know why, but every time he slept on that bed, I enjoyed massaging his feet. I would wait eagerly for him to lie down on the bed so that I could massage his feet. As night approached, I kept hovering around him, and my whole attention was on his feet, and therefore I could not move away from his body. When his feet were in my hands, I don't know why, but I would experience a feeling of stillness, a sense of peace. I would feel that I had achieved everything in life and that my life should end in that very state. I would get the feeling that my whole life had become worthwhile. On that morning, Gurudev was not in his bed, and it was after dawn. I came out of the cave and couldn't see anything, but I could judge from the noise that a herd of elephants had come to the stream to drink water, and you could hear their cries as they played with each other in the water. As the day grew brighter, I could see that their young calves were with them. Suddenly, a calf slid from the side of the bank and fell into the water. An elephant which was close by pushed the calf out with its trunk, and its mother pushed it further to safety with its leg. The baby elephant was very happy to get out of the water and started playing with the other baby elephants. I saw that the elephants always lived in collectivity and protected their group and helped each other. One could learn a lesson in collectivity from these elephants. I enjoyed watching them playing and rolling in the water, and their antics showed that they were also enjoying it. Gurudev arrived after some time. In his hands, he carried a big fruit that looked like a guava or something similar. He said it was a fruit called squash. He gave me 2 of them to eat, but they were so big that I was satisfied after eating only one. One can see lots of these fruits growing in the surrounding areas, but I was not aware until then that they were edible. They tasted like raw guavas and were easily available. There were several wild banana trees too. These bananas were big and fat in shape and had black seeds at the center. They were less sweet than the ordinary bananas and had a pungent taste. One could find several such banana trees around there. There were no humans at this place. It was completely deserted, but a large number of birds and animals could be seen. Gurudev sat outside the cave near the waterfall, and the discussion resumed. He said, "No man can ever control his mind through his life power, his own energy, because man's mind power is several times more powerful than his life power. That is why man needs the support of collective living energy. Once man's mind becomes pure and holy, it slowly becomes stronger. And a strong mind is very effective. A powerful mind becomes the medium of Paramatma's energy, and a person with a powerful mind is beneficial for society. People with such powerful minds achieve an exceptional state, and due to this state, whenever such a person prays for something with a pure mind, Paramatma answers his prayers. Such individuals have full faith in Paramatma's power, and due to this total faith, the individual is filled with positivity. This individual knows the true form of Paramatma, and therefore he prays with complete trust and faith. It is absolutely necessary to know the true form of Paramatma before trusting his absolute form. Searching for the path is more difficult when one isn't aware of one's destination. If one is not aware of where to find the form of Paramatma, then to whom can one pray and in what direction? The direction of one's prayer won't be clear as long as it's not properly shown. Then full faith is not possible, and as long as there is no faith, the prayer won't come from deep within one's heart. Then how can any prayer be answered when it is not heartfelt? One's heart plays a very important part in prayers. The feeling in one's heart is the strength of one's prayer, and this feeling is created as a result of one's reverence towards Paramatma. The mind has a very important place in spirituality. That is why a symbolic worship, puja of Lord Ganesh is performed in every religious activity to purify one's mind. Lord Ganesh is considered to be the symbol of sanctity. Holiness and purity of one's mind are of prime importance in spirituality. This holiness strengthens one's mind, but one's past weakens it, and man's desires don't allow his mind to remain steady. Man should keep away from both of these, and then his mind will become pure and therefore stronger. It is through a strong mind that one's prayers are answered. Any kind of desire is destructive, and desire for a woman causes double harm to one's mind. Before one understands what desire for a woman means, it is necessary to understand the term woman. Paramatma has created woman in the form of Shakti, that is power, energy. Paramatma has created woman in order to activate man's energy. Thus, woman is energy, and you have to accept her as Shakti. A woman has unlimited power to absorb energy. She can fully develop the energy she has absorbed. She can develop it and bestow completeness to it. This creation is not only at the physical level. She can do so in everything and at every level. Man and woman are like the two wheels of a chariot, that is society. And society cannot develop without these two. Man understood the powers possessed by women even before woman herself. Therefore, men started suppressing women in order to prevent them from dominating men with their powers. Until today, women have been subjugated for thousands of years, and this has unknowingly created an imbalance in society. It isn't possible to develop a balanced society until women's power is balanced. A woman is less a man's wife and more a mother, because her basic nature is to be a mother. There has always been a woman somewhere in the lives of every saint or a great personage who has inspired them either directly or indirectly. That is why, even among gods and goddesses, women have been given special respect. Thus, a woman is energy. On the one hand, physical desire for that energy destroys one's mind, and on the other hand, it also destroys the constitution of energy within us. Feelings of desire for women cause a lot of harm to the mind. Women are not an object of sexual pleasure and enjoyment. Woman power is a place from where one can obtain energy. When we consider a woman as an object of pleasure and enjoyment, we are spoiling the place from which we can absorb energy. And when the place from where we can absorb energy itself becomes bad, how can one absorb energy? What meaning will one's life have if one doesn't absorb energy? We are cutting off our feet by spoiling the place from which our body can absorb energy. That is why, amongst all other attachments, the longing for a woman can cause double damage, and one should avoid the desire for a woman. Lust is even more dangerous than desire. Lust can also destroy one's mind as well as man's body. The body of a woman has been constructed in such a way that she can quickly reach a state of satisfaction, whereas a man takes longer to reach that state. This is not only at the physical level, but at the mental level too. A woman enjoys distributing things much more than using them. A woman has a greater capacity of absorption. She has a greater capacity for nurturing and sharing. But women have greater expectations from men. All these are the practical special qualities of women. The more pure and holy the woman element, the more these special qualities will be visible in a woman. The capacity to take risks and stake everything is inherent in a woman. Whilst giving birth to a child, a woman gives everything she possesses to the child, even when it is in her womb. That is why, whenever a spiritual revolution takes place in the world in future, it will be woman power that will activate it. This comes naturally to a woman. In her life, she has an affinity for and is connected simultaneously to several relationships. She may have just one physical body, but she has the capability to live in several forms, to play several roles. Whilst on one hand she is the mother of a child when she is pregnant, she is at the same time a wife to her husband. Whereas, a man plays the role of a husband to his wife, but is not simultaneously a father to his child in the womb. He is detached from his child. For as long as a woman is not given equal status with man, there is no chance of any spiritual revolution in society, because society will be crippled until then. and a crippled society cannot ever progress. We are not doing women a favor by showing them respect. We are balancing human society by empowering women, and balance is necessary for the progress of any society. Man will have to control his ego in order to be able to honor and respect women's energy. All men are very arrogant about their male gender, even though all men have taken birth through a woman. By insulting women and giving them a secondary status, man forgets his own birth when he attacks his roots and forgets his mother. A man who has love and affection for his mother can never insult a woman. Several saints have understood this fact. That is why they have tried again and again in this direction and are still trying. Future saints will also keep trying because this imbalance is so prevalent between men and women that it will take several years to rectify the situation. All saints are aware that this imbalance cannot be rectified through their own efforts. Despite that, each saint tries to reduce the huge imbalance between men and women in his lifetime and will continue to do so. After saying this, Gurudev closed his eyes, and I felt as if some message had reached deep inside me from him. Gurudev's cave was situated at a very low level and deep in a big gully. That is why no one could even imagine that there could be a cave deep down in such a big gully. There was a narrow path on the northern side which descended into the cave. And after descending quite deep into the gully, one had to turn right, and as one neared the waterfall, the sound of water grew louder. If one descended from the northern side and then turned right, one could reach the cave which was situated in the westerly direction between the waterfall and the northerly direction. The gully was so wide and deep that one could see the water falling from above, but couldn't make out where it was falling. If one looked down, one could see the thick and dark forest. One could see the sun rising in the morning, but as the sun rose higher, the sunlight couldn't reach the ground. There was always a mist, and very little light reached there even during the day. Since there was very little direct sunlight, there wasn't much heat there, and the atmosphere was very cool. The atmosphere was alive and vibrant because of the waterfall. Birds were seen there only in the morning and evening because they had built beautiful nests there. All the birds used to leave in the morning to peck for grains and return in the evening. There were very few trees with thick foliage. There were fewer big and wide trees, but there were several tall trees growing close to each other. In fact, they were so close that if a tree got uprooted and fell, it couldn't fall completely on the ground, but would fall on the nearby tree and lean there. Small bushy plants grew under the trees. Small plants with special yellow and white flowers also grew there. Once, whilst I was there, all the plants were in full bloom, and Gurudev could count the number of years through the number of flowers and get information about the seasons. Gurudev had been staying there right from his childhood with his Guru. I never asked him much, but he himself would tell me about it whenever some incident occurred. I understood through his conversations that Gurudev had been living there for a number of years, but in between, he had also traveled several times to the Himalayas. Sometimes he would narrate incidents from the Himalayas, but I don't know why. I did not ever feel like asking him anything. Thoughts just did not arise in my mind in his presence. There was no question of asking any questions. I did not realize how time passed in his presence. He seemed to be a little serious by nature, and it seemed as if I learned very little about him. He was very knowledgeable. He had studied the area in minute detail and had knowledge about the water, the seasons, trees, birds and animals of the surrounding area. He was deeply informative about everything, as if, by living with nature, he had become a part of it. He had a slow style of walking. He walked with a stick, but it was a very attractive, balanced style. He took very measured steps, and whenever I looked at his feet, I felt that his feet weren't touching the ground at all, and he just stepped lightly on it. If any green leaf was crushed underfoot, then the moment he lifted his foot, it would resume its normal shape, as if it had a spring which made it stand upright again. My attention was always on his feet, as if my whole world was confined there. In the beginning, I felt that there was a contradiction here. On the one hand, he was telling me that thousands of people in the future will be waiting eagerly to see me, and that there would be long queues of people waiting for me. And on the other hand, he had brought me to this big trench in the jungle. Maybe he was talking about my next birth. In short, it all seemed impossible. I felt at that time that I would always have to live in this trench like him and would never be able to go home again. That it was impossible to get out of that trench because if my foot slipped even once, I would slide straight down into the gully and my life would end. Why did he have to bring me to this place? I don't know why in the beginning I used to get such negative thoughts. Later, slowly they reduced, and then they stopped completely, and my whole world got contracted and shriveled up in that place. At first, I was scared when I heard the cries of animals. The cave did not have a door, and any animal could easily have come in. But the fear slowly decreased. Then I felt afraid from within because the only light there came was from the burning logs in the pit for the fire ceremony. My imagination conjured up unknown animals in the dark. Sometimes I would think, what if spirits and ghosts turned up? Then I would immediately tell myself, Gurudev is present. No spirit or ghost can come near him. Gurudev was aware of all of my thoughts, and whilst talking, he would purposely bring up such scary topics and indirectly try to get rid of my fears. Sometimes I would get the thought that all this turmoil was created because of Shiv Baba. If he hadn't entered my life, Gurudev would not have found me and brought me into this ditch. I don't know whether this is a ditch or some infernal region. In my childhood, I had read stories about hell. Sometimes I felt that this must be the lower region that people talked about. Who knew how deep down he had descended? We couldn't see anything above us from where we were down below. I thought that hardly any human being would have ventured into this ditch. But from the natural scenic perspective, this was a very beautiful and peaceful place. This was a very suitable place to merge with nature. There was not a single human around, and therefore there were no thoughts from any humans, nor was there any kind of thought pollution. Thoughts are unnatural. They separate us from nature. But as soon as we go closer to nature, thoughts stop automatically. Gurudev kept me so busy that I did not have time to think at all. As all the tasks had to be performed in the proximity of nature, I unknowingly got the chance to be close to nature and learn a lot from it. Sometimes I felt that it was the law of nature that only the strong can survive and the weaker animal gets killed. But I witnessed several incidents where even the weaker animals created problems for the stronger animals if they were in collectivity. Thus, collective energy can create problems even for stronger animals. Jai Atmeshwar. This concludes our book reading for day 3. Thank you for listening.